So here's the starting point. Well, after the initial hour of cleaning or so, decades of buildup doesn't really scrub away so easy. I'm pretty sure I found my great grandma's 50-year-old preserves in the cabinets, along with a lot of other gross stuff I'm not going to go into detail on. But yeah, we've got it in a pretty decent place to where I can at least start getting things organized a bit, get the shelves up, and yeah, start just making this a usable place. So I'm gonna get to it. My great grandparents used to have a garden when they lived here. It was the same spot I've started to plant in. I figured why mess with success. I've heard a lot of stories about the monster veggies they used to pull out of there, and I'm hoping to try and replicate some of those results. However, also looking to build a raised bed on the other side of the house that gets the most intense sun and heat. That'll be for the peppers and tomatoes. That way I've got a couple different options outside. I can use my cooler, shadier side of the garden and then my hotter side over on the opposite side of the house. So yeah, just be kind of some experimentation starting out, but figure I'll just do what makes sense for now. So I was able to replace and patch this wall where it comes up above the sink in the corner where we're hopefully going to get our dwarf tree up. Problem is that that wall rotted out because of the roof. I did recently, over this last week, put a new video up when we got some real bad flooding. It was the first real bad rainstorm that I've been in since I've been out here, and it definitely showed me where there's still some leak issues. And I kind of knew this was going to continue to be a problem because I didn't really fix the source of the rot, and I knew it was just from water coming down through that wall. But I got to see kind of how bad it was still with this last rainstorm. So I'm going to have to figure out patching the roof to make sure that this whole patch on the wall that I put up isn't just going to rot out. It may take a while to get to the same point, but if I can, keep it somewhat protected for now by just throwing maybe some new metal sheeting up there or something, then I'm going to do that. We get a pretty wide range of weather here, which I love. It was definitely a big draw away from the 24/7 heat in Arizona. Living in an oven definitely sucks to begin with, and the lack of seasons, it just gets super boring. Here, though, we get it all. We get the rain, the snow, the wind, the sun. The winters can be cold, as I've definitely been finding out. Well, I kind of knew that coming up here. And to be honest, it's not so bad. I'm a bit of a polar bear, so I enjoy the cold. But the summers can also get pretty freaking hot. It's also a little bit higher elevation, so closer to the sun and all that good stuff. But I don't have the pavement out here like I do in Arizona, so it cools off at night. The nice thing about that is it gives me a wide variety of things that I can grow if I can get the timing and placement down. So it'll be some experimentation, but it definitely is going to give me an advantage in the variety. I'll go over it in more detail in the garden episode as we prep for spring planting, but I've been planning the plots according to things like light exposure, ambient temperature, and the land elevations. I bought some thermometers and put them around the property and then the greenhouse, figure out how things are doing and kind of what the different range is. It's all an educated guess at this point since I've never gardened at this level, but I love that I even get that learning opportunity. I'm sure there'll be plenty of mistakes along the way, and I'm all for that. It just means I'm learning, and I know what to try next time and what to adjust. That's something already happening with the seedlings I'm raising right at this moment in the greenhouse for the spring. And again, that'll be another upcoming video. They've been a lot of fun, but definitely a lot of challenges, and probably didn't do as much research as I should have to begin with. But I've kind of recovered from some of those mistakes, and we're getting there. Pretty much got it all cleaned up, blank slate. So just got a little bit more cleaning to do, and then getting all the shelves up. Still got to clean this little shelf up here. I'm gonna get that sun exposure. I think going this way will be the best bet. There's a piece of trim that runs in the corner there, so going this way, putting a few up, I think will be the best bet. Hi, buddy. Are you watching? Watching so you can help me later? Definitely don't have the brackets I would want. So make what we have work. She's gonna be in the way the whole time. She's mad because she can't go outside. They're working on the power pole, trying to finish it up today. Can you make it through one more day for them to finish up? And then you can have your yard back. I found myself pretty bored and restless in my life before coming here. I kind of threw myself into my work, put all my eggs in that one basket. After bouncing from job to job and create a career, whether it was because I was bored or looking for new challenges or ran into an issue like an injury, I found myself unable to stay put for super long. Usually after the first year or two, when I felt I mastered the job, I got bored. And, I've rarely found jobs with the opportunities for advancement, so I got restless and nothing could really just keep up with my attention and desire to grow. So I was just typically on to the next thing. In my life, I've tried a lot of different paths, starting in retail like most kids, getting their first paycheck. Working in a pet store pretty early on, I learned how to train dogs, which later in my life became a side business that I really enjoyed. Love working with dogs. Working with people is a little bit difficult, and it's definitely a necessary part of it, and a big reason why I don't do it anymore. But yeah, dogs are definitely my jam. I went to dive school when I was in my 20s. When I burned out on the retail stuff, I went to school and I learned, underwater construction, inspection, welding, that kind of stuff. It was all hard hat diving and surface-fed airlines, and that challenged me, to be sure. I developed a lot of skills and confidence in myself through those years. It's definitely a big reason that I know I can do anything I set my mind to. It was pretty overwhelming and daunting at first, and I got through it. After that, I felt like I could, get through anything. Eventually, a knee injury kind of ended that career. And then I ended up kind of going to work for, whatever jobs were hiring. I installed satellite for a while and started going to school for phlebotomy. Right out of school, I went to work drawing blood for a company called Theranos, which a lot of people may be familiar with. Crazy story, movies and documentaries out there. Definitely check it out because it's crazy. From there, I went to a pretty prestigious hospital and did processing in their lab for a while until I landed my current job. I've had a small hobby garden in the past and the occasional potted plants, but gardening for food production is definitely new territory for me. I need to be able to utilize this greenhouse year-round and pretty much always have something going on it. The deep of winter, I can get some of the more sensitive plants producing, and during my heavy production seasons like the spring that's coming up, I'm going to need to have waves of seedlings going all the time, so as I harvest, I can replace them. That's going to be particularly true of stuff like the lettuces that I want to do. It's all going to be a lot of trial and error between how much I actually need without going to waste and how much I have to cultivate and harvest and how much space that I have, to work with, which isn't a huge concern so far. I've also got the neighbors around me, so I can certainly share what I do have extra, which would be a great way to get to know everybody around here. But yeah, I got a lot on my plate in addition to my full-time job, so I'm just trying not to overextend myself right away. In my current job, I made myself a promise when I moved into it. I was going to stick it out this time. I was going to buckle down, give it everything I had, and try and climb the ladder, even if I got bored. I wanted a career, I wanted a challenge, I wanted retirement, security, stability, all those things that, the average person wants. And I wasn't going to wander off for another shiny object this time. It was going to be the thing that allows me to do the stuff I want to do. It wouldn't matter if I liked it. It was the ticket to doing what I liked. It was just work, But I understood that I had to give it everything I had to try and make that happen. Well, at least that's what I put on myself, and kind of didn't really work out so well in the end. I mean, the problem there is that I put everything into it, and when you do that, you don't allow other elements to make up your life. It's easily tainted and it falls apart quickly. I like to compare it to like a pitcher of water. If you have a pitcher of water that represents like my soul or myself, whatever you want to call it, and you decide where to pour that water into, for example, a bit into a job or a bit into a hobby, some into a family, stuff like that. It represents where myself is invested, but I dumped the whole thing into work. So I only had this one overflowing cup of water in front of me that everything was into. And that meant that if even one small thing went wrong, that one little drop of poison seeped in, I was done. World starts to crumble, everything sucks, whole mood's ruined, and that wasn't a great way to live. When the poison became more evident over the last year, I knew what I had to change. And it wasn't about leaving or quitting or anything like that. That wasn't ever a thought that crossed my mind. It was, I got to figure out where my priorities are, where I want to pour myself into. I need to enrich my life to know that there is more to it than just a job where I am at the mercy of everybody around me and have zero control. So this is a lot of why I came here, was to put my future back into my own hands and be able to put the work in, have it matter, have it mean something, and see a direct result, see a direct payoff between how much effort I put in and what I get back from it. Because that was 100% what was missing, where so much of that poison came from. I need to know that what I put in is going to pay off in the end. And I think I found that here. It's pretty early in, but I feel it. It's definitely worth it. Right now the focus is food production and making sure that I can build something that can take care of me for the rest of my life. But it's a big piece and it's a big cost right now. And every little bit of money that I can start to save is going to be going to the rebuild, and makes it worth all the effort. And just having that in my mind while I work on these projects, and even in moments of frustration, know that every second is just so worth it. So we've got our 2 grow lights up here. This one will be for the tree. Put some seedlings up top there. We've got heating pads, and I've got all the stuff stacked up to flatten them out because they're folded up. But I've got a heating pad here that'll plug in there. And then I've got another heating pad up here. So we'll be able to start with the seedlings on here, across this shelf. Eventually we'll have the tree over there. Got some grass turf down. We've got another light up here. I still got to get this tied back and everything. But we've got some power run over here to get everything going. But we've got switches. So got some lighting going. We've got pretty good starting place to get some things started tomorrow. I'm happy with how this is coming out. It's definitely much cleaner. Not a bunch of just spider webs and mud dauber nests and torn up everything, dust, acorns. Gosh, it was a mess in here. So it's been a couple weeks since that last clip where we kind of looked at the greenhouse, and I got it in a place where it was usable, and I've been using it. So I started a few trays of seedlings already, which will probably be one of the next videos that goes up. But I've made some modifications in here from where we left off. I haven't really been using the shelves that are back in this area quite yet. I just really haven't needed them. And the majority of my seedlings are outside right now because it is just such a beautiful day out. It hit like 96 degrees on the real hot side of the house over here. Um, which is crazy because we just had snow like not even 2 weeks ago. I think it was only about a week ago, but it's getting up into the 60s and 70s for the most part, on average. But this kind of area isn't really being used. This part, for the most part, has kind of been my station to get the trays all set up and everything else. Right now, I just stacked up these boxes temporarily to get this little fan so it blows some good air onto these top shelves over here, which was kind of lacking before with the seedlings, is just getting airflow. But once I got the fan set up, it worked great. I also just recently put up this shop light. I've still got to wire it up and everything, but this will give me an opportunity to utilize this shelf here and then even this table down here if I wanted to start using this as a wider space for stuff like my lettuces and spinaches that I'm going to need a lot of trays going at the same time and stuff like that. So it's come along and it's kind of continuing to shape itself as I figure out what's working and not working. But this is a pretty, so far, good usable space for me to be able to start getting the seedlings going and ready to get out there to their new home. You can see the garlic has been doing great. And then I'm getting ready to start digging the next plots for the rest of the stuff that is currently in its seedling stage and doing great. Being able to take my future into my own hands has been pretty freeing, extremely satisfying. It's something that I've been trying to achieve for a long time and has always just been out of grasp. No matter how hard I try, I felt like I wasn't going anywhere and it just wasn't in my control. You can accept the things you can't change and all that, but I made the change and I feel like it's just really paid off. It was the right decision. Speaking of payoffs, this is the result of all that hard work as it stands today, day before this video is going up. But this is what it was all about. This place is pretty well cleaned up, functioning just as intended, and we've got, at this point, 5 trays going. We got 2 trays here, 2 more sets that are germinating here, and then another set growing over here. So we were able to set up these little climate zones. So you've got the hotter areas here for the germination, the next kind of hottest areas with the best sun up here for stuff like our peppers and tomatoes, and then our kind of cooler region over here for stuff like our onions and kale and that sort of thing. It stays pretty crazy warm in there too. These are the thermometers I set up. The bottom one's inside the house. The top one is the greenhouse. The other 2 are outside. I've got one position on the hot side of the house and one in the cooler side, which is where the current garden's at. But as you can see, it gets pretty warm, and these days, as the kind of freezing temperatures have cooled off, I've been able to turn the heaters off during the day because it just starts getting too hot. But seedlings are nice and comfy. It's been really great to be able to share this with everyone. Great reconnecting with some of my family that I haven't talked to in a while, that have been kind of watching the progress. I've got a lot of footage sitting on my hard drives right now waiting to be edited, and it's a little overwhelming. I feel like I never have enough time just trying to get things done around here that need to get done. But as always, Emmy will see you out.